So the first step, hook up the ventilator to the oxygen tank. Always want to make sure that you have a tank that is full. This is the gas line. So this is the auxiliary port on the oxygen tank. This then gets simply screwed into place. Make sure that it is nice and tight. Then the setting needs to be turned to auxiliary. So you keep turning. It's the very last setting. Got two components here. So this is the ventilator, and this is the battery pack. There are some instructions and some guidance as to what each of these buttons actually represents. Batteries should be fully charged once they are actually on here. If there's a problem with the power supply, this will need to come out, replaced with another battery pack, or just grab another ventilator. This is the disposable circuit that comes with the ventilator. So I'm going to open this up. This is the patient Y end. As it relates to the ventilator, this is the business end right here. So right here is your gas outlet. This hooks directly onto the gas outlet. You'll then see that you have three connections here, a white, a yellow, and one with nothing. And actually, if you look on the ventilator right here, flow transducers and pressure sensors. And so then those just get hooked up as follows. The one with no connector goes on here. Yellow, which has a yellow lure lock, goes to yellow lure lock. White lure lock goes to white lure lock. Ventilator has an on-off switch, which is actually right here, which says on and standby. So you will turn on the ventilator, and then this tells you same patient, and then you can turn this dial to toggle between new patient, and if it's a new patient, press select, and you can decide whether it is an infant, pediatric, or adult. So we're going to say new patient. We're going to select adult. Select. And you'll see our test lung right here will eventually inflate. So the low pressure is going off because this isn't inflated. I'm going to silence that for a second. So if you want to set the rate, to reset any of these, this is now volume cycled. You press the button. You turn the dial however you want. I'll just leave it back at 12, and then press the button again. Volume, say we want something higher, we'll go to 700. Again, volume. This is your inspiratory time. This is the oxygen concentration. Turn that down. Sensitivity, don't worry about that. And here's your high pressure limit. Low pressure limit. Again, you can set that. I'm going to turn that down for right now. Low minute volume. Again, I'm going to turn that down for right now. This is volume cycled. If you want to switch to pressure cycled, this is now switched to pressure cycled, and now you can decide how much pressure you actually want in. So now this will just go to a pressure of 30. Want to select back to volume. Now this is back to volume as we had it set with a tidal volume of 700. This is assist control. You can do SIM via CPAP. I probably wouldn't worry about that too much. You do inspiratory, expiratory holds. Also wouldn't worry about that. Manual breath, don't worry about that. And then your PEEP, again, you just press the button. Turn up your PEEP, and there you have it. What I'm going to demonstrate for you right now is called an occlusion test. It should be performed on the travel ventilator each time you go to use the travel ventilator for transport. The purpose of it is somewhat analogous to a positive pressure leak test on the anesthesia machine, insofar as that when the circuit is appropriately hooked up and completely occluded, the ventilator should alarm because of a high pressure and cycle without having given the volume that is set in. In this particular case, you can see that the tidal volume here is set at 575 mLs. You can see that the high pressure limit is defaulted to 40 centimeters of water. We've got a green bag which represents the lung, and all is well. I'm going to disconnect and simply occlude the circuit with my thumb, and you'll note that immediately the high pressure alarm goes off and the volume is not delivered. If the occlusion test is performed and the ventilator does not alarm or cycles while delivering the appropriate volume, you should go through the troubleshooting process to determine whether or not there's a leak anywhere within the circuit that you placed on the machine, or whether or not there is a problem with the machine itself. And until that is figured out, you should not be using that ventilator to transport the patient. After you've transported the patient, and the patient is then hooked up to the ICU ventilator, you hold the on-off button. To keep it from beeping, you need to then press the silence reset. You then take this, disconnect the circuit from the patient, disconnect the circuit from the machine. This is all disposable. And then you transport back downstairs